Hello, my name is Abby Jurgens, and I'll be presenting on the geologic information of the Grand Canyon National Park. I'll be speaking about many topics, including the history of this park and the ways climate change is impacting this area. As you can see from this aerial shot of the Colorado River on the screen, this national park is filled with wondrous views to see an intriguing geologic history that explains the evident layers of rocks that are displayed throughout the canyon's face. So let's look at some background information to understand the Grand Canyon better as a whole. The Grand Canyon first received national recognition in 1908 when Theodore Roosevelt made the Grand Canyon a national monument. As Source 7, titled Grand Canyon Then and Now, states. This monument covered nearly 800,000 acres of land and is still to this day one of the biggest national monuments to exist. Then in 1919, Congress made the federal decision to promote it to National Grand Canyon Park, according to Source 7 as well. And historically, there's been a lot of preservationist involvement in both the monument and the park, according to the description of this photo that's found in Source 15. The work of preservationists made it so that catastrophic plans never came to full fruition, though the Glen Canyon Dam did cause many erosion-related problems. Furthermore, as it explains in Source 15, this photo that's displayed on this slide was taken from an airplane that carries about 400,000 passengers over the Grand Canyon per year. And these plane rides produce visitor enjoyment, but the 1987 National Parks Overflights Act proposed a plan to manage these flights for the purpose of preserving the park. The U.S. National Park Service's article titled A View of Grand Canyon showing all three sets of Grand Canyon rocks has many interesting insights to offer the public regarding the geology of the canyon, and this source is also referred to as Source 6. This article claims that the Grand Canyon's geologic history dates all the way back to 1.5 billion years ago when the Vishnu basement rocks formed, which is the canyon's deepest layer of rocks that came from a volcanic chain. The Grand Canyon's middle layer of rocks date back to nearly 700 million years ago, and this layer is called the Grand Canyon supergroup, which are sedimentary and igneous layers. And the Grand Canyon's top layer of rocks, which you could see in the photo that's displayed on the screen, are called the layered Paleozoic rocks, which are sedimentary layers that are nearly 270 million years old. Within the Colorado Plateau province, there are 4 regions that have been shaped and created by the eroding effect of the Colorado River, according to Source 2. This article elaborates that crystalline rocks from the Proterozoic era were metamorphized, and the origin was sediments and lava flows prior to this metamorphism process. These lava flows cooled and then turned into the crystalline rocks that are present within the canyon today, and many of the rocks from the Mesozoic area are lost because of erosion. The U.S. National Park records in its article titled Explorers that in 1540, the first European explorers came to the Grand Canyon, and they were led by Garcia Lopez de Cardenas, according to this source that's listed first in the bibliography. That same year, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado explored the Grand Canyon area with his Spanish army. Both of these men were in search of different things, but Cardenas had difficulty crossing the river due to its wildness and were unable to sufficiently explore it. The Hopi people of northern Arizona, however, communicated to the Spaniards that the Grand Canyon was simply a wasteland, which prompted the halt of any further exploration for the next 235 years, until the Grand Canyon would be referred to as the Great Unknown, and it was explored. According to the National Park Service article titled Explorers, which is the first source in the bibliography, the federal government did fund an exploration of the Colorado River, since it was widely known that this flowed through the Grand Canyon. The goal of this exploration was to see if the river would be useful for trade, and Joseph Christmas Ives, who was an Army lieutenant, traveled up the river with a wheel steamboat but never officially made it. His conclusion was that the Grand Canyon was valueless and incapable of drawing in millions of people and wasn't worthy of federal preservation. And it wasn't until a man named John Wesley Powell underwent a serious expedition and exploration of the Grand Canyon. Though many of his notes were lost on his first expedition, he was determined to go out on a second one. Now, the park has been impacted by climate change. The Grand Canyon's weather and climate is an intriguing topic and it's been researched by many people. The three men pictured in this photo on the right are using a three-dimensional anemometer that has humidity and temperature sensors for the purpose of recording diurnal changes. A research study conducted by Diane Stanitsky Martin as a part of the American Geographical Society's focus on geography helps us understand how the climate in the Grand Canyon and how climate change have affected it. This source can be found as number 11 in the bibliography. In the summertime, the heat and radiation within the canyon becomes a major hazard for travelers. Hikers are subject to very intense temperatures on the canyon trails, and there's little to no shade on many of these routes. But in the wintertime, the temperature does drop drastically. And these weather changes and extremities are a huge result of climate change. And there has been impact by humans as well. Human intervention has always posed a threat to the Grand Canyon's natural beauty. A study done by the U.S. Journal of Environmental Management by Joel B. Sankey, listed in the bibliography as source 9, discusses how the integrity of archaeological sites have potentially been compromised due to erosion. Human interaction with the Grand Canyon that is conducted by trained preventative specialists could be the saving grace of this national park. According to the U.S. National Park Service's description of the photo that's pictured in source 15, planes and helicopters pose both a threat to the air ecosystems of the Grand Canyon as well as a threat to the national park as a whole because of the mass amount of visitors they draw in. Now, there are many sections to the Grand Canyon, but it's typically broken up into two rims. According to the U.S. National Park website's Grand Canyon map, which is listed as source 14, visitors can either visit the south or the north rim, and the north rim tends to drop drastically in temperature. Popular south rim of the park is open year-round and has many viewpoints and visitor facilities for tourists to see. Near the Grand Canyon is the Kaibab National Forest, where the Kaibab Plateau is located, and this attraction also draws many visitors in. So to conclude, I just want to ask the question, what part do you think every individual could play in preserving national parks like this? Even if someone doesn't regularly visit national parks, they can still be an advocate for the preservation of these natural beauties so that we can continue to enjoy them for centuries to come. Geologists continue to explore this famous canyon and study its rocks in relation to the river and its eroding effects on the canyon. Only time and science will tell how this national park will continue to be affected by climate change in the future. And that is my presentation.